Hello and welcome to Killing Time with Mr. Patrick. Today on Killing Time with Mr. Patrick, we're gonna read. Now, reading isn't really killing time because you're doing something. The idea behind killing time is doing nothing for hours. Yes, reading is something. Yeah. Also, reading is one of the few things that you can pretend to be doing while not doing anything. I'm not really reading. You could be killing time by pretending to read while doing something else. Think about somebody you love. Or do some singing.
No, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go, la, da, da, da. The very obvious one, take a nap. Spy on people, you'll never get caught, you're reading. Fake reading can also be a good opportunity to have a snack.
Now for realsies. Today we're gonna read, or else I'm gonna read, from my favorite book, Matilda. Matilda is a great story about family and friendship and feelings and what to do with those feelings. Sometimes you will feel things that you don't know what to do with. Well, this is the story of one such girl who one day starts experiencing feelings that she doesn't really understand, particularly the feeling of rage. Oh! Wow! Those are all good examples of how not to react when you feel rage. Rage is a very important emotion and a very important one to know what to do with. Anger is something you need to put out, but where to put it or how hard to put it against the wall, it's another thing. Now, I don't have all the answers, but if you feel like you need to learn how to put that anger out into the world, all I can tell you is Matilda. It's a story about a girl who finds a way to channel her anger. In this chapter, the first miracle, Matilda is falsely accused of putting a newt, some kind of a lizard, on the Trunchbull's glass of water. Matilda gets very angry at the accusation, and the more she thinks about it, the angrier she gets. This is where anger comes in. Angry is the adjective. I am angry. Anger is the noun, the thing you're feeling. After repeatedly being accused by the Trunchbull of putting the newt inside her glass of water, Matilda starts concentrating on her anger. And this is what happens next. I did not do it, she screamed. Oh, yes, you did, the Trunchbull roared back. Nobody else could have thought of a trick like that. Your father was right to warn me about you. The woman seemed to have lost control of herself completely. She was ranting like a maniac. You're finished in this high school, young lady, she shouted. You're finished everywhere. I shall personally see it that you are put away in a place where not even the crows can land their droppings on you. You will probably never see the light of day again. Matilda felt herself getting angrier and angrier and angrier. So unbearably angry that something was bound to explode inside of her very soon. Matilda glared at the Trunchbull. How she hated her. She glared at the glass with the newt in it. She longed to march up and grab the glass, tip its contents, newt and all, over the Trunchbull's head. She trembled to think what the Trunchbull would do to her if she did that. The Trunchbull was sitting behind the teacher's table, staring with a mixture of horror and fascination at the newt wriggling in the glass. Matilda's eyes were also riveted on the glass. And now, quite slowly, there began to creep over Matilda a most extraordinary and peculiar feeling. The feeling was mostly in the eyes. A kind of electricity seemed to be gathering inside them. A sense of power was brewing in those eyes of hers. A feeling of great strength was settling itself deep inside her eyes. But there was also another feeling which was something else altogether, which she could not understand. It was like flashes of lightning. Little waves of lightning seemed to be flashing out of her eyes. Her eyeballs were beginning to get hot, as though vast energy was building up somewhere inside them. It was an amazing sensation. She kept her eyes steadily on the glass, and now the power was concentrating itself in one small part of each eye and growing stronger and stronger, and it felt as though millions of tiny little invisible arms with hands on them were shooting out of her eyes towards the glass she was staring at. Tip it, Matilda whispered. Tip it over. She saw the glass wobble. It actually tilted backwards a fraction of an inch, then righted itself again. She kept pushing it with all those millions of invisible little arms and hands that were reaching out from her eyes, feeling the power that was flashing straight from her two little black dots in the very center of her eyeballs. Once more, the glass wobbled. She pushed harder still, willing her eyes to shoot out more power. And then, very slowly, so slowly she could hardly see it happening, the glass began to lean backwards, farther and farther backwards, until it was balancing on just one edge of its base. And there it teetered for a few seconds before finally toppling over and falling with a sharp tinkle on the desktop. The water in it and the squirming newt splashed out all over Miss Trunchbull's enormous bosom. The headmistress let out a yell that must have rattled every window pane in the building, and for the second time in the last 5 minutes, she shot out of her chair like a rocket. The newt clutched desperately at the cotton smock, where it covered the great chest, and there it clung with its little claw-like feet. The Trunchbull looked down and saw it, and she bellowed even louder, and with a swipe of her hand, she sent the creature flying across the room. It landed on the floor beside Lavender's desk, and very quickly she ducked down, picked it up, and put it into her pencil box for another time. A newt, she decided, was a useful thing to have around. And that is the chapter in which Matilda discovers what she can do with all the anger that brews up inside her. I encourage you to read Matilda. Watch the movie if you can. There's even a musical show that you can see clips of on YouTube, and I think you will truly love it. So enjoy.